You didn't lose them. It just feels that way. Because you were the one who stayed longer than you should have. You were the one who kept trying, kept understanding, kept giving, even when it wasn't returned. And when it ended, it didn't feel like they lost you. It felt like you lost something important. But here's what most people don't realize. The moment you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop needing them to see your worth, something shifts. Not loudly, not instantly, but quietly. They start noticing your absence. They start replaying moments. They start feeling what you felt. Not because you said anything, but because you changed something inside you. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 silent habits that make people regret losing you, not by proving anything, but by becoming someone they can no longer reach. So before we go further, ask yourself honestly, did you really lose them? Or did they lose the version of you that kept choosing them? At first it feels unnatural. You see them, and every instinct in you wants to react, to show something, anything, but you don't. No anger, no sadness, no emotional trace left behind. You acknowledge them the way you would acknowledge a stranger, a brief glance, maybe a quiet nod, and then nothing. And that nothing starts to do something powerful, because people are used to being either loved or hated. Both mean they still matter. But when you remove both, when they become emotionally invisible in your world, something inside them starts to panic. They begin asking questions they can't answer. When did I become nothing to them? How did I go from everything to no one? You didn't push them away. You simply stopped holding them in your mind. And for the first time, they feel what it's like to lose their place in someone's world. There was a time when you tried to make things clear. You chose your words carefully. You softened your tone. You explained again and again and again, not to win, but to be understood. But understanding never came, because it was never the goal. So now, you stop. You don't correct every misunderstanding. You don't defend every accusation. You don't explain your decisions anymore. And that silence does something they're not prepared for. Because without your explanations, they have nothing to twist, nothing to manipulate, nothing to hold on to. You become ungraspable. And when someone can't rewrite your words, they're forced to sit with their own. That's when regret begins. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you stopped trying to prove anything at all. They test you, in small ways at first. A post meant to get your attention, a comment designed to provoke, a subtle move to pull you back in. And before, it worked. You reacted. Maybe not loudly, but enough for them to know they still had a hold on you. But now, nothing. No reaction, no curiosity, no emotional shift. And this is where everything changes. Because people only continue behavior that still gets a response. Psychologically, no reaction means no reinforcement. And without reinforcement, the behavior dies. They try harder, louder, more obvious. But you remain the same, calm, detached, unreachable. And in that silence, they realize something terrifying. They no longer exist in your emotional world. And this is where most people stay stuck. For years, without even realizing it. They think reacting will fix it. But reacting is the very thing that keeps them in it. You don't announce it. You don't post for them to see. You just start living again. Slowly. You say yes to things you used to avoid. You reconnect with people you drifted from. You laugh genuinely. Not to prove anything, but because you're no longer carrying what they left behind. And somehow, they notice. Not because you showed them, but because your absence feels different. You're no longer waiting. No longer orbiting around their presence. You've created a life that doesn't require them to feel complete. And that realization hits harder than anything else. Because they start to see, you didn't need them to be happy. You just needed them gone. People expect noise after pain. They expect you to talk, to vent, to explain your side. But you don't. You don't destroy their name. You don't tell the full story. You don't try to make others see what they did. You choose silence. And that silence is louder than anything you could have said. Because now they don't get to hide behind your reaction. They don't get to paint you as emotional, dramatic, or bitter. They're left with only one thing, the truth of their own behavior. And when people hear that you didn't speak badly about them, that you simply moved on, it shifts everything. Not just how others see you, but how they see themselves. And sometimes, that's the beginning of regret. You're still kind, still respectful, but something is different. You're no longer open, no longer accessible in the same way. They can reach out, but they can't reach you. And that distance, not physical, but emotional, is what they feel the most. Because connection requires access. And access is no longer given. You don't share the same way. You don't engage the same way. You don't let them see the parts of you they once had. And that absence creates a void. Because what people lose access to, they start to value. Not immediately, but over time. And by the time they realize what changed, they realize something else. You're no longer someone they can come back to. This is the hardest one, because it goes against everything you feel. You want answers. You want understanding. You want something to make it make sense. So you replay it, rewrite it, revisit it in your mind, hoping one day it will finally click. But it doesn't. Because closure was never something they were going to give you. It's something you were meant to take. So you stop waiting, you stop needing them to explain, to apologize, to understand, and in that moment, something inside you releases, not all at once, but enough to stop reaching, enough to stop going back. And that's when everything shifts. They don't regret losing you because you fought for yourself. They regret losing you because you became someone who no longer needs anything from them. And once that happens, you're no longer someone they lost. You're someone they can never have again. They didn't just lose the connection, they lost you. And that's the part most people never see. It's not the moment you walk away. It's the moment you stop looking back. Because leaving is physical, but letting go is internal. And once that shift happens quietly, deeply, completely, they feel it. Not through your words, not through your actions, but through your absence. The kind that doesn't ask, doesn't wait, doesn't return. And when someone realizes they no longer exist in your world, that's when regret becomes permanent. Because at the end of the day, regret doesn't come from what you said. It doesn't come from what you did. It comes from what they can no longer reach. Your presence, your warmth, the version of you that once stayed, forgave, and tried. And when that version disappears, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, completely, it creates a silence they can't escape. A space where your absence keeps reminding them of what they had, and what they chose to lose. And the hardest part, you didn't punish them. You didn't fight back. You simply became someone they no longer have access to. And that's what stays with them, long after you've moved on. So here's the truth. Most people learn too late. You didn't lose anything real. You lost someone who couldn't value you, while they lost someone who was willing to stay to understand, to love deeply, even when it was hard. And that difference is everything. Because walking away doesn't make you weak, it reveals your strength. The strength to stop settling, the strength to stop explaining, the strength to finally choose yourself. And when you reach that point, when you no longer need their attention, their approval, or their presence, something changes permanently. Not in them, in you. You become calmer, clearer, untouchable in a way they don't understand. And that's when the regret begins. Not because you made them feel it, but because they can no longer reach the person they once had. So don't try to prove your worth. Just become someone who no longer needs to. And if this video made you see something you've been ignoring, don't scroll past it. Subscribe. Because the next time this happens, you won't just understand it, you'll see it before it even starts.